T minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? You guys are ready to rank some Friday the 13th? This is my favorite franchise. I am super amped today. I really had a good time with the Halloween countdown, but this is another level for me, you guys. This is Friday the 13th. And like last time, this is something that I can't do alone. So just like last time, I'm bringing my buddy Matt back in here. He is going to help me rank these Friday the 13th movies. We'll go ahead and bring him on in. Welcome to the stream, Matt. Once again, are you amped for Friday the 13th tonight? Hey, Matt, you there? We have been having some technical difficulties, so hopefully we can get these situated. Matt, can you hear me? Let's try to send him back out and bring him back in. Hey, Matt, can you hear me? Well, while we are trying to get that worked out, I also have another special guest tonight. I have Knight from the Night Watch Zone.
Hey, what's up? What's up?
Are you ready to do some Friday the 13th tonight, sir?
Look, man, I think this about says it all. Got my Scream Factory collection there, so I'm ready to rock, man. Friday 13th is my jam.
You know, the bad thing is I had mine right in this spot right here. This is its spot right here, and it's not there. And I will tell you why it's not there. It's not there because I watched like 3 of them this week, and it is still sitting in my room to where I was watching it.
Nice. Love it, man. Love it.
I had to go back and watch a few that I hadn't watched in a long time.
Right.
That are further down my list. So
yeah,
I wanted to be fresh. So some of it was good. Some of it was a nightmare sitting there watching it because they weren't my favorite ones. But
right. I know exactly what you mean, man.
I did go through. Let me see if we can't get Matt back on here. Hey, Matt, can you hear me, sir?
Maybe if he goes off and then back on, maybe?
Yeah. Thinking he may have to disconnect and reconnect here. Let me see if I can get a hold of him. But yeah, so I was watching a lot of the Friday the 13th movies this week. And like I said, some of the lesser ones, and I don't want to give, anything away when it comes to that. But
right.
Oh, man, as much as I love this franchise, there are definitely some that are a little more painful to watch, than others.
Yes. I know exactly what you mean.
I mean,
but that's the beauty of it too, man, is that you just never know. You never know what to expect from this series. But for me, it's got a charm to it, man. Like it's a very straightforward type of franchise and story, but it has this 80s charm to it, especially the earlier sequels. So that's why it always it's just dear to me.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially, when I think of Friday the 13th, it reminds me of being the kid in the video store looking at all the covers, and renting the ones that I've seen 100 times already. It's
right?
like, yep, going with Friday the 13th part whatever today. You know what I mean?
Right?
And I think that that's something that's lost on today. You know, everything's digital, or you're going to Best Buy or any of the other places to buy, you know, the Friday the 13th stuff. To where when we were kids, you know, it was, I'm going to the local video store. I've got $5. You know,
Yes.
let's go ahead and go ahead and, you know, rent that movie for tonight.
That's right.
Hey, Matt, can you hear me, bud?
I sure can, Michael.
There he is.
Yeah.
There he is.
Sorry about that, guys.
Hey, it would not be a live stream if you don't have hiccups, man. It is live.
That's right.
It happens all the time. You can ask this gentleman here. He's been doing it longer than me.
It happens, man. It's all good, though.
It's always something. So, Matt, to bring you into the conversation, we were talking about one of the things that, you know, makes me, you know, when I think of Friday the 13th, it kind of brings me back to that time to where I'm thinking about renting movies and going to video stores and stuff like that, you know, before everything was digital, you know, or, you know, you were just going to buy the movie that you wanted. Back in the day, we had these things called VHS cassette tapes or VHS tapes that we would go and look through, you know, on a daily basis, trying to rent something to watch for that night. And I was lucky enough as a kid my mother worked at a video store. So I got 2 free movies a day. And as long as my homework was done, you know, I was at the video store and I was coming back with Halloween or Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street or Alien, you know, something along those lines. Every night. Well, so let's go ahead and get started. Let me welcome some people aboard. We've got Tatum Rose here. How's it going today? Katie's here from Popping the Popcorn. And again, Katie, my mod Katie, my savior Katie. Believe me, right. Katie has helped me more and a lot of other channels too. She is, I think you said it earlier tonight when we were on your show, Night, the multitasker. You know,
she is
many different things at once, and she is always willing to help somebody out. Again, Katie, thank you very much for being here and modding for us tonight.
Yes, thank you, Katie.
Absolutely.
Tatum Rose, been a subscriber for a long time. You're amazing. Thank you very much. Thank you. Welcome in, everyone. Please hit that thumbs up and subscribe. That's very important to me. Please hit that thumbs up and subscribe. And we have Justin and Kelsey again back to see us.
Justin, Kelsey, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Derek Grant here saying hello.
Hey, Derek.
Brittany Witten saying hello, Matt.
Hello, Brittany. Good friend of mine. Hello, Brittany.
Hey, Brittany.
That's awesome. That is awesome. All right. So a lot of people have their favorites, and I'm always interested in watching the chat, kind of what we're doing, you know, when we're doing these things, because I think I said it when we were doing Halloween. You know, you can put 100 people in a room. You can make them make a list, and you're going to get 99 different lists because somebody always cheats. Whenever you're writing something, somebody always cheats. It would be two of the same. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so just they're all going to be different. You know, there's no right or wrong. There's no, you know, you're not a true fan. If that's something I really don't like when, you know, people start throwing that stuff around, like you're not a fan if you like this one better than this one. You know, that's not what I like to do here. This is a place for us to gather and talk about something as fantastic as Friday the 13th. Have I mentioned that I like Friday the 13th yet? I don't think I could have been any more clear with how I feel about Friday the 13th.
I love it, man. I love it.
Val has showed up to say hello to everyone. You know, the General is always welcome at Movies and Beyond, and we will salute the General when she is here. Val is awesome.
She is, man. She is.
All right. If I missed anybody, I will definitely get you when we come back. I am going to drop everyone out. We're going to roll the intro, and then we're going to get started on why everyone's here. We're going to start ranking these Friday the 13th movies. So we will be back shortly. Let me roll this intro, and I'll see you in a minute.
Here we go.
I prayed that he would burn in hell, but in my heart, I knew that hell would not have him.
You are all my children now.
Then I will avenge his death.
Hello, Sydney. Are you
Don't you?
The Force will be with you, always.
I wish I had you all alone, just the two of us.
Welcome back, gentlemen. Welcome back.
All right, let's go.
We ready to get started?
That got me hyped up.
Fantastic intro, Michael.
Thank you. We ready
Yes.
to do this? I am
Very,
so
very
amped
cool.
up. Now, we're going to do a bunch of these, every week or every other week. Matt and I have decided we're going to go through, we want to knock out the big three first. And when we finish that, our plan is to throw the big three together, and we're going to rank all of them that way. So we're going to do Nightmare, Friday, and Halloween all together to find out
Nice.
who has the best movie and who has the worst. So I'm excited about that one too, but not to get ahead of myself, because this right here, this is what I've been waiting for. So Matt, you went first on Halloween. You were my guest. I'm not going to make you go first this time. And of course, I'm not going to go first because this is my show. But Knight, you being the guest this week, we're definitely going to start off with your number 12. Freddy
All right.
versus Jason is included, guys. I think I told
Yes.
you guys that, but I'm not sure that I told the chat. So Freddy versus Jason will be included in this, but we are going with number 12. Knight from the
All
Night
right.
Watch Zone. What is your number 12?
All right. So to me, first of all, I enjoy all these movies, to some degree, because it's just my favorite horror franchise. But there's got to be a number 12, and this is a movie that to me just kind of went off the beaten path a little too much. So I got to go for number 12 with Jason Goes to Hell.
Jason Goes to. Well, that's my number 1.
Yeah. I'm sorry, bro.
Show's over. Thanks for coming, everybody. No,
It's done. Oh god.
number
Well,
12.
yeah, man. It just, like I said, and I've said this on my channel a bunch of times. And Michael, you know that I love this franchise, and we've talked about it on my channel. But it's a good horror movie. It's got good gore, it's got good practical, and stuff like that. But it just, to me, it isn't a great Friday movie, and so that's just how I look at it. If they had Jason in it, maybe another 10 or 15 minutes, maybe I'd feel a little bit differently. But because it was basically like the hidden, it just, when I went to go see it, and I'm from a big city, when I went to go see it in the summer, in the middle of the day, there were only 3 other people in the theater, and that should have told me all I needed to know. This was a week after it came out, so that's all I gotta say. So.
How about you, Matt? Your number 12.
My number 12. Jason Goes to Hell.
Oh, God, you're both killing me.
Knight, I gotta disagree with you. I can't even see it as a decent horror film. I've never been really big into the whole shapeshifter thing. And like I said, sometimes I just don't even know what they're thinking. When we go, like you went to the theater for it, thankfully I didn't have to do all that. But when we go to whether we rent it, go to the theater, or whatever, when we put in a Friday the 13th movie, let's face it, we are there to see Jason. We're there to see kills. And like a lot of films, and Michael and I have talked about this as well, like, you can go back to part 5 or whatever, with it being Roy. Sometimes I like to revisit those after the disappointment, as far as Michael's or Jason's not there. Goes to Hell, you don't see him but maybe 2 minutes, and I will try to watch them for what they are.
Right.
And even doing that with Goes to Hell, it just gave me nothing. It's not for me. And I got to see my Jason if I'm watching a Friday the 13th film, man. I got to see the kill.
I understand that. Yeah.
And I was excited. The first, the opening scene I thought was pretty cool. And it plummets after that. Plummets.
Yeah.
Yep. They got us all hyped up, and next thing you know, they obliterated Jason.
They did. So that's my 12.
So my number 12. All right. I went back and watched this movie the other night. I said, I haven't watched this for a long time. All right, I'm not going to lie. My number 12 is Jason Goes to Hell. Look, the first 10 minutes of it was dope. I loved it. I thought it was awesome. It kind of had that old school it had that old school Friday the 13th feel to it. It had the music. It had Jason stalking in the cabin. He was back in the woods, dude. And
you had a chick there. It was like, all right, we got it going on.
Something else that really bugged me was Jason was like grunting when he was walking.
Yes.
He was making noises and stuff. And it's like, dude, come on. Why did Kane Hodder not be like, look, Jason doesn't do that? You know what I mean? Like, that's something. And then when they were shooting at him, he had his arms out, before they blew him up, and he was screaming.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I was watching that the other night. Like, my God, you know what I mean? Now, granted, I did think there were some cool scenes in there. Okay, I will give them that.
Yes.
Not enough to move it away from number 12. Jason Goes to Hell is my resurrection of Halloween. It is, just rewatching it the other day, it solidified its spot at number 12 for me. And they would really have to make a really bad Jason movie for it not to be 13 when a new 12 comes out, right? So the cool things I did think about it was cool to see Kane Hodder end up getting killed by Jason. You know what I mean? Like, that was just kind of a like, look, Kane Hodder got killed by Jason. You know what I mean? And he ended up, pardon my language for, everyone in here. But when Kane Hodder looked at, the doctor who had, Jason in him at that time, he was like, oh, he's just a big pussy anyway. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's just like, he kind of looked back at him and I was like, here we go. But other than that, it wasn't even cool when he came up out of the floor at the end, reborn. Right. You feel like if he's being reborn, they could have did something with that crater head of his. I wasn't really even feeling that look of Jason. Michael. Yeah.
because that should have been. You should have had goosebumps and be like, "Let's go!" But yeah, you didn't. The movie was so bad at that point, you didn't even care.
I mean,
Right.
even the credits look bad. You know what I mean? When you really get into it, like even the credits look bad. I mean, it just. But like I said, that first 15 minutes of that movie, I was totally, even rewatching it, I was totally feeling it. I was like, you know what, this feels good. But in the back of my head, I said, this is going to go off the rails soon. So
yeah, you told me you were watching that, and I said, I just thought, wow, was your day that bad, man? What's going on?
Yeah. So he sends me a text the other day. He's like, hey, what are you doing? I said, watching Jason Goes to Hell. He's like, why? You know what I mean? Like flat out.
Man.
I mean, what can you do? All right. This is where we get to number 11. How are we feeling about number 11? Knight, what do you got?
All right. So okay. Now, full disclosure, everything from here on out is somewhat challenging, until, my top couple, right? Because some of these movies over the years, I've switched, from one number to another. Oh man, just thinking about what I'm about. Okay, let me just say it. I gotta go. Even though this movie has its moments, has some charms, I gotta go with Jason Takes Manhattan. And of course, I know, and I'm sure you guys know too. A lot of the behind the scenes stuff that went on. They didn't have the budget that they wanted. They wanted to do it, 70% to 30% in New York versus the boat, but they had to flip that around. I know. What they gave us, I guess, was as good as they could have done, but it just didn't give me enough of what I wanted out of a Friday the 13th movie. Kane obviously always rocks it. The scene where he's in Times Square, that's iconic. I still love that.
Yeah.
There were some great scenes, There were a couple good kills. Of course, the MPAA screwed that all up and cut away with a lot of stuff with the kills. So there's a lot of technical reasons why this movie wasn't what it wanted to be or could have been. But just basing it off of what we saw, it's always been near the bottom of all my rankings. So I'm going to put it at number 11 right now.
All right. Matt, what are you feeling about number 11?
Well, Michael, I hope we're friends after this, buddy. But I got to go with Jason X. I got to go with Jason X. And let me say this. I do love the Friday the 13th franchise. I do. It's my second favorite, coming in just behind Halloween. And I'll even say Goes to Hell. A friend of mine can anytime say, hey, man, you want to pop in on Friday the 13th and, order pizza, kick it. And I'm down, man. And I don't even care what number it is. I enjoy the Friday the 13th films. I do. And like you said, they take me back as well. They take me back to, renting the videos on Friday night. They all have that great 80s feel to them. And there's parts of Jason X I really do dig. The frozen head bash is really up there. I think one of Jason's all-time kills. It's just got that. I mean, it looks so cheaply made. Let's face it, Jason did not need to be in space.
Jason can go wherever he wants.
Well, yeah. I guess they felt like everything else had been overdone, and they were looking for a new angle. But but guys, I do enjoy the film as campy and kind of out there as it is. I do enjoy it, even though it's my number 11. I enjoy the films, man, but I got to give 11 to Jason X.
All right.
All right.
Well, my number 11 is agreeing with one of you guys. And it is Jason Takes Manhattan. So this was another one that I rewatched recently, actually like 3 days ago. I rewatched this, and Knight, you brought up a lot of good points. Like I liked the way Jason looked. You know, I liked Kane in New York. But the thing that stuck out the most to me was something that I really don't hear too many people talk about this movie. Yeah, granted, it had its issues. If you ever had a question about whether or not Jason could teleport, just watch this movie. He can't. There's no way. I mean, believe me, this dude's all over the dance floor. You know, he's like in 5 places. You know, he ends up chasing this one person down this narrow stairway, you know, and then he's right there in front of them.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
Like I really want to buy this, but you're making it hard.
Right.
But the thing that got me so much about this, and I don't know why it bothers me so much. If you guys remember when Jason kills that cop, right? He kills that cop and the girl jumps in the front. She takes off with the car, right?
Mm-hmm.
She sees the baby Jason or whatever, you know, her what's the word?
Hallucination.
Thank you. That was not coming out either. She sees that and she goes to ram it and she wrecks the car and it blows up. And there's one of the teachers still inside there who dies, right? Do they mention that? Not once. She ends up dropping to her knees, looking at a puddle and yelling at the other teacher for pushing her in the water. If I'm that other teacher, I'm like, yeah, I pushed you in the fucking water, but you just fucking killed somebody. Like, seriously, you killed that teacher. That lady cared about you more than anybody other than that guy that's trying to sleep with you, because that's all he's trying to do. You could just tell, like, he's all over it. Like, oh, it's fine. Are you okay? You know, stay away from her. Look, man, you just killed somebody. You killed somebody close to you. Somebody gave you a Stephen King pen. I mean, that's awesome in itself, but you used it to escape Jason once, and you don't even mention the fact that you just killed her. You killed this lady. And you're worried about getting pushed into the water? Are you serious? Look, guys, that was something I really didn't pick up on. But then again, I haven't watched this one as much. When I watched the other night, I'm just like, are we really not going to talk about this? You know, granted, you don't try to make too much sense out of these movies, but that one, for some reason, that just really stuck with me in this, to where, wow, we're just going to dismiss that. And it makes me wonder, did some dialogue get cut out of that, or was it just written that badly? You know,
Right.
Something that totally stuck with me on that one. So yeah, I will say my number 11 is Jason Takes Manhattan.
Can we at least agree that Manhattan has a fantastic 80s vibe to it?
Oh,
yes.
Especially the beginning. The New York music with the guy talking over, you know, the narrator talking. Yeah,
I love that.
100%. And I don't hate Jason Takes Manhattan.
Right.
You know, with these movies, they're a little more special to, like, I can say something great about every one of these movies. You know what I mean? So my 12, my 11 isn't that far off from a 6 or a 7 with these movies for me. Like, there's not a huge gap like there was for Halloween with me a couple weeks ago. Like, I had a huge gap between Halloween movies on whether I liked them and I didn't like them. But with these, you know, this definitely did have, you know, a lot of good things to it. But for me, it had more bad things that I just couldn't overlook to rank it any higher than 11. But I would like to do something a little different for number 10. Let's go to Matt for number 10. Then we'll go to Knight. We'll change the rotation of the wheel here. Matt, you're number 10, sir.
Number 10, Jason Takes Manhattan. I mean, you guys said enough about it. I'm not gonna go on and on. And you know what's funny though about it is, I feel like I would almost even say out of all the Friday the 13th, it aged the worst. It just aged terribly. As a kid, I thought it was the shit. I did. Yeah. And you know, but you don't see all those flaws, all the, like just what you mentioned about, you know, her killing the lady and all that. But and also, just like you said, Michael, I do enjoy it. Hell, I watched I want to say I watched Takes Manhattan maybe last week. I do enjoy it. There's some good kills. And one thing I do disagree with though is that he looked good. I do not
I like
think
it.
I don't think he looked good. Because it's coming from this is coming from part 7, where he's never looked better, in my opinion.
Oh,
7,
yeah.
they were spot on 7, and to go from that to what he looked like in part 8, even down to his actual, head sculpt and everything was just, I mean, part 7 was a 13 out of 10, and he went to a 4. So I don't know if I got that right. But yeah, that's gonna be my 10. Jason takes Manhattan.
So one thing with that too that I forgot to mention, something else that bugged me, when he got on the boat to kill those kids on the boat and he got his new hockey mask, how come it still had the axe mark on the top of it? It still had the axe, like the hole from part 3.
Right.
He got the new mask, but it still had the top part broken out for where she hit him with that axe in part 3.
Yeah, logic.
Again, Michael, when did he get a new mask?
In part 8. So if you remember in part 7, Tina tightened his mask real tight and it
cracked
open.
Gotcha.
And so he had to get a new one when he came out of the water. And that kid had one. He was scaring that girl he was with and left it on the steering wheel there. And he
so did it have the axe wood when the kid was wearing it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it did. I don't know. What do you got for number 10, Knight?
Yeah, because logic does not exist in some of those later movies for sure. But for my number 10, now this was challenging because I enjoy this movie for certain reasons, but I have a couple of issues with it. So for my number 10, I've got Freddy versus Jason. Now, Matt's about to lose it. Now, let me just tell you why.
Please do, Knight.
And I saw this movie in the theater, and I was a diehard waiting for this movie for like whatever it was, like 13, 14 years, however long it took for them to finally get this thing done. And I do enjoy it, okay? But in my opinion, it's a better Nightmare movie than a Friday movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've actually said that before as well.
Yeah, I don't think they did as good of a job defining Jason as they did with Freddy. Robert was great in it. And as a Nightmare fan, I was having fun because Robert was back having fun doing his thing. But the way they characterized Jason, and he was much more the Frankenstein thing, obviously that's what they wanted to do, go in a different direction than Kane Hodder, which I thought was a mistake. No disrespect to Ken Kirzinger, but the way they directed him, I just didn't dig it as much. It was fun. It had moments, had good kills, and Freddy was great in it. But as a Friday the 13th movie, I just don't think it was as good. So that's what I got.
Knight, I'm starting to worry a little bit here that you may have copied my list, or vice versa. My number 10 is Freddy versus Jason as well. Now the thing with that is, I do agree with what you were saying, but the thing that bugged me so much, not that it was a good Nightmare movie. I was okay with that. As you said, Robert, did a great job. And Matt, you and I have talked about this a little bit as well too. I wasn't a fan of the Frankenstein with the hockey mask on that was supposed to be Jason. Now, granted, he had some good kills.
That when Knight brought that up, I was thinking, did you guys rehearse this? Or?
I know, right?
Yeah.
This is starting to scare me. You're number 9. If that's on point, that we'll just be like Mike and Knight think this. Matt, no. But seriously, I wasn't a fan. I wasn't a fan of the Frankenstein Jason. Although there were a few kills in there, like the kill on the bed. Okay.
Yeah.
The kill on the bed where he sandwiches the guy backwards. That's fantastic. Kill for me, and it's probably in my top 5 or 6 Jason kills. Seriously, that's up there for me. But Jason itself, he just felt so stiff, and it felt like if you throw a Kane Hodder Jason in there, this is a different movie. You know what I mean? This is a this isn't the Jason, that's all over the place. This guy, when he cuts Jason's fingers off with his glove, Jason just stands there and looks at his hand like he's an idiot. Jason's not the smartest out of all of them, but he's not
stupid.
A big dumb oof like they kind of, wanted him to be in that movie. And I mean, with New Line, they're probably like, well, a Kane Hodder Jason, in all honesty, you pull Freddy out of Dream World, this is going to be about a 2-second fight because he's just going to pull both his arms off and beat him with them. You know what I mean? Like there is no fight at that point. So I understand that they had to do something. I've tried to tell myself, well, you look at when the final girl goes up against, like Michael or Jason, they always last longer than, and they kind of like nerf down, the bad guy or the main killer at the end, so there can be a back and forth. But it was just too much for me. Their trip from Ohio to New Jersey was over in like 5 minutes. I've made that drive before, gentlemen. That's an 11-hour drive, depending on what part of Jersey you're going to. It wasn't like, hey, let's tie Jason up, drive 11 hours. We'll keep him asleep with this, get all the way to Camp Crystal Lake before he wakes up. The character that was the Jay Muse clone from, Jay and Silent Bob, very obvious that, I wasn't really feeling that. I mean, if you're going to do that, you might as well get Jason Mewes. You're probably going to pay the actor about the same. He probably would have done it if you wanted that character to be in it. There was just a lot. But, I mean, saying all that and me saying, I'm not going to say I didn't like this movie. This movie was the best theater experience that I've ever had still to this day. We went into that theater with this movie, and it's like the crowd was divided. We were standing up, we were throwing popcorn. It's like we were watching sports teams or, a UFC fight. And my best friend at the time and I went, and we were in each other's face because he wanted Freddy to win. I wanted Jason to win. You know what I mean? And I had to sit there and watch Jason get ping-ponged around the Freddy's toilet room with my boy cheering. And I'm sitting there like, come on, you got to be freaking kidding me, right? And then Jason's afraid of a little water dripping on his head, and he curls up in a little ball. Oh, you guys, what are you doing? When he's in the water later on in the movie, just fine. It's like, oh, okay. But yeah, I digress. But at the end of the day, I did like this movie, just not enough, again, to put it, any lower than number 10. All right, we will keep going in the same direction. Matt, what do you have for your number 9, sir?
Whew. Guys, it gets tough now. It gets tough.
It does.
I think I was talking about that with you today, Michael.
Yes, sir.
Like I'm questioning myself now. I gotta think one thing as far as and the Freddy vs. Jason, comparing Jason to Frankenstein is hell. I think that's disrespecting Frankenstein at that point. Frankenstein would have done dance moves around that Jason. I don't know why they made it so robotic, and it's just I'm 100% with you guys on that. And it's something I had never thought about before, but how different he was compared to his previous films. But anyway, back to I got to go with number 6.
Okay.
I got to go with 6, and 6 has it's like I feel like one moment I'm like, okay, great scene. Next minute I'm like, why the hell did you do that? And it just goes back and forth. I guess my biggest complaint with 6 is some of the comedy, and as far as like the goofy guys, playing paintball out in the field, and I just don't even. I'm all about some comedy in a horror film if it's done right, but I just thought it was kind of. It just seemed out of place for me. It just seemed like out of left field. But there's also some great moments in this film. Like I said, guys, from now on, every film that I'm going to name, I enjoy thoroughly.
Yeah.
I thought C.J. Graham was a hell of a Jason. I actually got a chance to meet him this over at Scarefest, and super cool guy. But I actually thought he had a very interesting take on Jason. I liked his movements. I believe we spoke about this today, Michael. He did some things that I did not expect Jason to do. It's like when he was shot, fell down, and most of the time you're thinking, okay, is Jason going to get up? You might not even see him get up. He comes up later, but he just pops right up. And he had some. I liked his Jason. I liked it a lot, and I liked the kills and everything. I guess it's some of the campiness that puts it further down on my list. But yeah, I'm going to go with 6, my man.
All right. Oh yeah.
Well, this is so difficult, man, because I'm looking at this list and I'm like, man, I could move a couple of these one way or the other and so forth. But for my number 9, I'm gonna go with Jason X. I think that there were some things I liked about it and some things that were kind of like what Matt said earlier, it's a little cheesy and I mean cheesier than usual cheese. But Kane was good in it as always. Some of the kills were great. The frozen head kill obviously is a highlight. I was just happy that he looked so much better than he did, from Jason Goes to Hell. He looked good, in the beginning, and even Uber Jason was fun in its own way.
Yeah.
It's a fun movie. Like, you can watch it and have fun with it. But it's still usually in the bottom third, of any list that I do for Friday 13th. But it's still, it's fun. So, anyways, yeah.
Definitely. All right, this is where I'm going to lose you guys. All right, this is where Michael's list goes off the rails.
Don't you say 1. Jesus, don't.
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm playing with you. I'm not going to do that. So it's not number 1. It's number 5. Friday the 13th, part 5, with Roy. Granted, let me say the good things about it before I say the bad things. There were some good kills in this. It did bring Corey Feldman back a little bit to try to put some continuity into the story. I really wasn't a fan of Tommy Jarvis in this movie. It just, I don't know, something with the actor, I really like Corey Feldman. I really like Tom Matthews. But the part 5, I don't know, maybe it was just the point in Tommy's life, that I really couldn't relate with what he was doing. Reggie the Reckless, great, but at the end of the day, when you find out it's not Jason, definitely disappointing as a kid. As I got older, I started to like the movie a lot more. If we're ranking this movie 20 years ago, this is sitting at number 11, right below Jason Goes to Hell. And I have grown to like it more than I used to. It had some good actors and actresses in this. They did great things, but at the end of the day, story-wise, I just can't see myself putting it being better than the things that are already below it on the list.
Michael,
a lot of the way.
I asked what you think about Reggie's brother.
Damon. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby.
Can't talk about 5 without mentioning Reggie's brother.
I'll let you go into all those details, sir, when you get to 5. But you know what, guys? This is my my Halloween 3. Okay, this is me trying. I love Friday the 13th. This is me going back and watching this movie a few times. Now, I didn't get to rewatch this one. It was on my list, but I ran out of time. But for right now, it's a solid 9 for me. Friday the 13th, part 5.
I'd be interested to see, just in general, your thoughts when you do get a chance to rewatch it. Just in general, what you think. Not even ranking stuff, but
I think that the last time I saw this was probably about 6 months ago. So it's not it's been years since I've seen it.
Okay.
But yeah, it just, I don't know. I tend to lose interest, watching this one for some reason. But All right, let's reverse the wheel. Let's go with number 8. Knight, what do you have for number 8?
Well, this is again just interesting conversation. And this used to be in a different position for me. Um, but I'll get to that later. But I'm actually going with the remake.
Oh, okay.
I'm going with the remake, which I do love. You know, I know there are a lot of people that I've heard, you know, in the horror community that don't really think very highly of it, but I think they did a hell of a job. They combined, you know, multiple movies. I think
Yeah.
the cold intro was fantastic. Derek Mears is an amazing Jason, and I think we were robbed of, you know, at least another couple of movies with him as Jason. He's a really humble dude. I met him at a convention 2 years ago. Just such a cool dude, and he would love to do it again, but who knows if that'll ever happen. But he was a great Jason, fast, athletic, such a huge difference from Freddy versus Jason, and I loved it. But the characters themselves in the second half, I didn't connect to as much, you know, and so that's one reason why I have this lower than the next one I have above it. So, yeah.
All right. And I'm not going to talk too much about that because I have to get to that one as well. And Matt will also, but you definitely made a lot of good points there with the remake. Matt, how are you feeling about number 8?
As I glance at my list.
Oh, I've got mine right here. Like, I'll forget what number we're on if I don't look at it. But one quick thing I did mean to say, and I don't mean to interrupt you before you get started. I was looking at my notes for Jason Goes to Hell when we were on number 12, and all I wrote was, yeah. Like, that was it.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. Again, Matt, you're number 8. I apologize.
Michael, you're fine, buddy. Always. I gotta go with the OG. I gotta go with number 1.
Number 8.
This will baffle you guys, but I watched part 1 for the first time. I want to say about 7 or 8 months ago.
Oh wow!
Oh,
yeah. I always knew there was no Jason, so I just avoided it. I always avoided it, and you know, but there comes a time where you're like, okay, I gotta see where this originated, and you know, so I check it out. I liked it. I did. I think, what is it, Betsy Palmer? I think she did a fantastic job, and it's got some good suspense. It's got Kevin Bacon. You know, always been a Kevin Bacon fan. It's solid, but I just think, you know, by the time I watched that, I mean, my love for Jason was up here, so you know, it can't go too high on my list with not having Jason. But I do think it was a solid film. It was fun. Like I said, the suspense was good. Betsy Palmer as Pamela was fantastic. So it was a lot better than I thought. So I'm gonna go with the original Friday the 13th for my number 8.
Number 8. Matt, how could you? The original. It is the original. Yeah, that's my number 8 too. This movie has slid down my list. I'm not going to lie to you. This is when I spoke a little earlier saying, all right, fellas, this is where my stuff goes off the rails. And this is where stuff jumbles up for me. When ranking these movies, I decided to make my list based off of me holding my box set and saying, which one do I want to watch the most? You know what I mean? And it has nothing to do with, you know, the actors or actresses. You know, it's just my personal preference. That's why my list is a little different this time than it has been in the past, because I said, you know, let me do something a little different. This is what I currently, if I'm holding my box set and I'm looking at the Friday the 13th movies, this would be down about the eighth, one on the list of things that I would put in my Blu-ray player and say, this is what I want to watch today. You made great points about this. It had a great story. It was, somewhat original when it came out. I love the first person point of view. Would that be first person? I guess that would be. Yeah. So the first person point of view, using the camera, it was more of a who done it than anything else, because watching this through, you have no idea who the killer is until the end. Kind of reminded me a little bit of a Scream movie from that aspect. It didn't have anything supernatural about it. And with that being eighth on my list, again, this list, just because it's number 8, doesn't mean that I don't think it's a badass movie, because I do. And you don't know how much I'm looking forward to this Crystal Lake series coming out. Like, you have no freaking idea. Them exploring, Pamela's, her descent into madness with losing Jason. Hopefully that's the route that they're going. I'm very interested in seeing that. But at the end of the day, I'm assuming, with it being an older movie, as much as I like the point of view and the who done it, actually, after I know who did it, that kind of takes that out of, the movie for me.
Right.
It had some great kills in it. The setting was scary. It's an iconic setting at this point. When I think of Camp Crystal Lake, I think of that first one. I think of, the dock there with the water and the cabins, the way they're laid out. That's always going to be Camp Crystal Lake to me. But at the end of the day, I am putting part 1 this week for my number 8. Who knows what my list would be tomorrow or next week,
Guys, do we know when that series is scheduled to debut?
I don't even think they've started filming that yet, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they haven't really given too much information on it yet, or at least not that I've heard of. So I know they're hoping that it's next year. I was assuming it was going to be at some point, like in late summer, but who knows? I
mean, I really don't feel like that would take too terribly long to film. Like post-production, depending on the effects that are going to be in it. And this is something I haven't really said on a stream or anything, but it actually came from a conversation I was having with Matt a couple weeks ago. Wouldn't that be crazy if we kind of got to see how Crazy Ralph became Crazy Ralph?
Exactly. Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, wouldn't that be cool if you could go back and see, like, when he was just Ralph? Like, how did this guy get his nickname? Like, how did he come to be? Like, I was Black Friday shopping, was that like 2 weeks ago? And I always have my circle of things. I go on Black Friday. It's always Target, Best Buy, Walmart, Blu-rays. That's all I'm, looking for. And of course, Walmart didn't have anything this year. But I did browse through the DVD section. They had a set, a Friday the 13th set. I think it only had 1 through 8 in it. And at the bottom, it had a Crazy Ralph quote on it. And I almost bought it just because I like that box. I was just like, man, I'm sitting there like, now I'm going to let it go. I think I took a picture of it somewhere. Maybe I'll put it up somewhere for you guys to see. But yeah, I think that would be.
Ralph, I want to see Pamela before she, when she was just a sweet, caring mother, before she was out for blood and revenge. I want to see what she was all about, man. I'm absolutely stoked for it.
Yeah, me too.
Me too.
Both stoked and, like I've said this in previous, a little nervous, but that's going to come with anything that you love, right? You want it to be good. All right, so we are down to number 7, gentlemen. What is the order that we are currently in? I've lost my spot.
I think it's my turn, I think.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, this one's tough, man. All right, so for number 7, this is a movie that has risen in the ranks for me over the years, and there's a lot of reasons for it, so I'll just get to it. I'm going with Friday 5.
Okay.
When I saw it as a kid, I absolutely hated this movie. Probably the only movie I hated more was Season of the Witch. And but ironically, both of these films I've enjoyed as I got older. Friday 5 has a lot of great elements, has some characters that you can follow, has some great kills. Everything's pretty good until we get to Roy, as far as just the understanding that it's not Jason. But over the years, I've just kind of let that go a little bit. I agree too with you guys. This is the version of Tommy I enjoy the least out of the Jarvis trilogy.
Yeah.
But I love Reggie. I love Pam. Melanie Kinnaman is a wonder, and I had the pleasure of interviewing her. She's fantastic. I think she's a great final girl. So yeah, that's where Friday 5 is for me. It's definitely risen up the ranks for me over the years.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. All right, Matt. This is number 7.
7 for me. Night is also number 5. And I love it. I mean, I do. And I'm absolutely 100% with you. When I was watching as a kid, the No Jason just absolutely pissed me off. The whole being an imposter and everything. But it is definitely a film. If there is a film where you've got to revisit it and watch it just for what it is, knowing that, okay, it's not Jason. Let's just pretend we're putting in a horror flick. If you do that and you check it out, I actually think it's got the most kills of any Friday the 13th film, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
There's some fantastic kills. And someone else was saying, I actually think it was Pizzal. I was watching one of his videos, but what does Jason give you? He's a man in a hockey mask, right? And he's killing people. Now, there is plenty of that in part 5. A man in a hockey mask killing people. It just so happens it's not Jason.
Right.
So if you could let that go, check out the film as for what it is. And I was surprised, Michael, when you said that you got bored with 5. Especially with it having more kills than any other Jason. I'm surprised you say that. It does keep my interest. I love Reggie. Absolutely love Reggie's brother. For a man to be in a film as short of a period of time as he was, but have such a big impact, was just impressive. I mean, if he's not a memorable character, I don't know who is. So I definitely dig 5. It sucks it wasn't the real Jason, but it's a good, solid slasher film for sure.
Yeah, like with me with 5 Guys, I think that the same thing, happened to me with Halloween Ends. Corey wore Michael's mask, didn't make it Michael. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it sure didn't, and it just. I don't know what it is. It's just something I just can't get past with that. But again, we all have our own, opinions on it. Who knows? Maybe mine will change. Maybe it'll be 8 tomorrow. Then again, maybe it'll be 11 tomorrow. Who knows?
True enough.
My 7, I'm going to go with the remake. 2009 Friday the 13th, the remake. Knight, you touched a little bit on, the first half of this movie. It's kind of a tale of 2 movies. It really is. Totally loved the first half of this. And we didn't mention, I love the way Jason looked as Baghead Jason in the remake. Like that looked, I mean, when that kid finds that weed and he's just standing right there and that music hits like bang, and he's standing there with the Baghead, I actually sat up like, oh shit, like when's the last time a Friday movie really made you do that? It's probably been a while. And I did like that. I really did not like the fact that Jason had a hostage. I think that's why it's kind of a little low. Granted, we did see a little bit of that before in part 2, where Ginny kind of tricked him wearing the sweater and stuff. But at the end of the day, if Jason's got her for, I think it was like 6, it went from one to the other. It was like 6 weeks later, you're going to figure out that's not mom. You know what I mean? So the fact that he is holding a hostage at that point, I really couldn't get past that, at least not enough to put it any lower on my list. But it did have some great kills in it as well. I loved, you know, kind of where we do disagree a little bit on this was I actually loved the douchebag in the movie. And I'll
Trent.
tell you why. Yeah. Because he was such a douchebag.
Yeah.
Like that guy played the shit out of that role to the point to where he almost like Joffrey Game of Thrones that role.
They gotta call that man.
Yeah. Yeah. Like seriously, I wanted that guy to die. And it seemed like with that movie, you're just trying to figure out how's he gonna die? How's he gonna die? This guy better not live. You know, you're rooting for Jason every time he's near him, like, you know, like grab him, you know, it's I really did like this movie, but my biggest problem was you know, him having the hostage in that. That's where I kind of was like, come on, guys. But I did like how he got the hockey mask and everything, how he, you know, maybe not the way that he got it, but seeing him standing there holding it to where you know that it's changing, you know, from the baghead to the hockey mask. And, you know, Derek Mears, he looked freaking beast as Jason.
Yeah.
And it stood out for me the most when that couple was on that boat and it's, you know, the one girl falls in the water and he's just standing there in the woods looking at the lake. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh,
great
my
shot.
God, that is a fantastic shot right there. But yeah, so that's where I'm at with number 7 being my Friday the 13th, 2009. All right, let's go ahead and switch the wheel around here, Matt, and let's get your number 6.
Oh, guys, it's getting tough.
Yeah, it is for me too.
Yeah, it is.
I'm gonna go ahead and go.
I love it. That's great.
I'm gonna go with. I think you guys actually helped me. You guys actually flipped me around a little bit on this one. I'm gonna go with. Freddy vs. Jason.
All right.
I'm going to go with Freddy vs. Jason. I enjoy the film. Like I said, I enjoy them all. Now, Knight, you also brought up a great point. It is absolutely a better Nightmare on Elm Street film than it is a Friday the 13th. Don't know why they, you know, changed the character of Jason so drastically. There's some bad acting in this film, guys.
Oh yeah.
There's some bad acting. But we did have our two titans going at it, which is something we don't get. So I'm actually even more so now. I'm so glad we did get this film and we got to see Jason and Freddy go at it.
Good point.
Which I mean, they could make films with Freddy, Jason, Michael, Leatherface going at it, and I'll be at the theater for every one. I will. I'll check it out. But they're so few and far between. So it's definitely got a place for me. I enjoy it. I can watch it anytime. It is a great Friday the 13th, or I'm sorry, Nightmare on Elm Street film. Robert Englund was on point for this film. He was classic Robert Englund. He was great. Yeah. And but yeah, there was some bad acting. I'm 100% with you guys on they just made Jason look bad. He just looked bad. Why the hell was he afraid of water? You know, he was a Frankenstein. So I feel like there's a few things they could have tweaked, and it could have went much further up on my list. They just missed it. But it's a good film. It's a fun watch, and I'll put it in and watch Freddy and Jason go at it any day. So yeah,
definitely.
Jason on that one.
You brought up a good point, Matt, and something I didn't, you know, even think to touch on until you said it. You know, in the 80s, you know, an early part of the 90s, you weren't a young, you know, boy if you weren't arguing with your friends on who would win that fight.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it was just back and forth, you know, like with me, it was always Jason. I mean, hell, I think I argued that Jason would kill Spawn at one point, you know, and I had like 4 people ganging up on me. And the fact that I was like 39 when I found out about Savini's Jason and still stood up like Savini Jason would have did it, you know, like an argument that happened like 25 years before that. Like, I wish I had this information then. I would have
Right.
shown them on the playground and they would have understood where I was coming from, you know. But yeah, dude, like, you know, we finally got to see the Titans throw down, you know, and that was
This
that was
film had me. This film, I thought it was going to be just a start of something huge. It had me thinking about if Chucky and Leprechaun went at it. It had me thinking, you know, let's get Michael Leatherface, you know, whatever.
Yep.
I thought it was going to start a chain, and it was one and done. So
Yep.
I'm so thankful we got it. You know?
Yeah,
Me too.
I mean, and the things, you know, that you really have to think, like the studios, what they have to do to make this happen. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it took what it took, like New Line acquiring, you know, Friday the 13th to even, you know, because nobody wants their boy to look bad.
Right.
You know, like there's no way. You know, the only person that's going to make their guy look bad is them. Like, there's no way that they're going to let another place, you know, make their guy look bad. James brought up a good comment. He said, I agree that Jason was really scary in the reboot. He burned that girl in the sleeping bag. He also knows how to use that bow and arrow. Great headshot. That was a great headshot.
It was.
And I didn't bring that up. He was in a speeding boat.
Right?
He took it right to the face, man. Like, that was just fantastic.
Hey, let me tell you guys, James knows what's up. James is a true diehard horror fan, and that guy is become a great true friend of mine. And yeah, I love hearing what he has to say. And
yeah, James is a good guy. I've met James. I actually talked to him earlier today. Definitely a good guy. Melissa's in. She dropped by to say, hey. She would rather watch Michael Myers and Jason go at it. Now, you have those two, Melissa, go at it. You know, there might be some friendships that end over that one. You know what I mean? Like,
right? It's true.
Jason and Freddy, that's one thing, but you know, you got your Jason nuts and you got your Michael nuts, and they're gonna be head to head on that one.
That's
you know?
right.
I love them both, but at the end of the day, you know, I'm wearing the hockey mask jersey all day. I'm sorry, but all right, not to get sidetracked too much, Knight. Your number 6.
All right. Well, this is all difficult. These took a lot to think about. This is the one that it's very special to me, and that's the reason why it's at this place. But for number 6, I'm gonna go with the original.
Nice.
I'm gonna go with the original. This was the movie that got me into horror as a little kid. It was on TV. They were doing a marathon of movies, and I said, let me just try to see if I can get through it, because I was deathly afraid of horror movies at the time. I was like 6 or 7, whatever. I watched the original, got through the jump scare, and haven't turned back since. But I agree with what's already been said as far as, you know, it's not Jason, and knowing who done it takes some things away from it. But the one thing that I still really enjoy is the atmosphere, the atmosphere, and it just, you know, it's Crystal Lake. I mean, granted, you know, all the early movies had that great atmosphere, but this one was that first time. So for me, it always will hold a special place in my heart. But yeah, I got it at number 6.
Definitely. Well, my number 6 is a great number, so I'm gonna go with Friday the 13th Part 6. Jason Lives. CJ Graham was great. You know, we're getting into, you know, the top 6. There's not a film from here on that I don't like. I don't have a lot bad to say about this one. Matt, you did bring up some points. There was a little bit of goofiness in it, but you know, it wasn't like the Halloween 5 goofiness where the cops came out of the house and you had that, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't that.
Right.
But it was, you know, you had the little nerdy guy that was, you know, with the gun, and the person getting their face smashed up against where the blood made the smiley face in the tree. Yeah, that was pretty bad. But I mean, this is Man Behind the Mask. You know, this is Tom Matthews as Tommy. You know, like I really enjoy this one. You know, CJ Graham, he's awesome. I mean, that guy's big as shit too. I think I came up to like right here on him, you know, when I stood next to him. Like, that guy's freaking huge. He's awesome. But from a movie standpoint, you know, I did go see this one in the theaters. This was the first one I got to see in the theaters. And I loved every minute of it. And maybe that's why it's so low on my list, because it is special to me. And it was the first one that I actually got into the movie theater to actually see. So part 6 is number 6 for me. And that's where it sticks.
It's got a fantastic ending. I love the ending.
Yeah.
Yes.
The fire around the boat, waiting on Jason to pop out of the water. Just
when he does, he breaks the boat. You know, he gets on top of Tommy, and you know, he's just putting his weight on it, and it snaps in half. You know, that was epic. And I think that's, you know, one of the reasons why I like the Never Hike Alone series so much. That the, you know, the fan film that they're doing is because Tom Matthews has a big part in that. You know, he's it's great. Matt, I can't believe I left that part out, man. Good shot on that, dude. Like, yeah, that was fantastic. And you know, he didn't curl up in a ball when he hit the water. You know, he walked right through it like the stud Jason is. You know, it's just like water. You know, he's just walking out there. You know, waist deep, it's going all the way up to his head to the point where Tommy's like, "Where's this dude at?"
He walked out there like a boss. Man.
Yeah, he did, man. He did. And I mean, it also kind of cleared up does Jason kill kids or not? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, he walked right through there, you know, and he didn't really have nothing against them. You know, they weren't out there, you know, having sex while he was drowning. So, you know, it's okay. It was for you guys, you know. But yeah, that's my number 6. Number 5, Matt, where you at, buddy?
Number 5, I'm going to go with the remake.
All right.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the remake. Now, we've discussed this, Michael. You bring up the hostage.
Yeah.
Which, yes, I don't. There's no reason for Jason to have a hostage. No reason. But the other thing that I cannot get past on this film, but really, I'm saying, aside from this, I absolutely love it, is his security system and the bells, man. Those damn bells.
They served a purpose, Matt. There was a purpose behind those bells.
To me, Jason does not set up a security system where he knows when people are coming. He's got bells going off around his, you know, little underground tunnel and stuff. I thought that was just, I had a, you know, this, we've talked about it. I had a hard time getting past that.
Look, Matt, if I had 5 acres of weed out there, I'd have bells everywhere. All right. He was watching his weed.
Yeah, he was.
I don't know who he was selling it to. He must have been smoking it himself, because I don't see Jason making deals.
Weed, man. I don't look at Jason as a pot smoker. But, now, I don't know names as well as you guys do. Now, do you say that was Derek Mears? Am I correct with that?
Yeah, Derek Mears.
Okay, he was fantastic.
Mm.
He was fantastic. He was big. He was menacing. He was fast. He was. I had absolutely no issues with him playing Jason. And like I think you mentioned, Knight. We should have gotten some more of him.
Yeah,
he was great. The douchebag was the best douchebag I've probably ever, you know, in cinema history.
He's right there with Joffrey from Game of Thrones. I'm telling you,
he's up there. He's up there. Kills were great. Let's not forget the redneck in the barn that he gets the mask from. That guy, that's another memorable character.
He was memorable.
If he does not make you laugh, like, man, like, that is just some inbred stuff right there going on, man. But fun movie. He was a fantastic Jason. Great kills. Get rid of the bells, and it goes up a couple notches on my list.
All right. Night number 5.
Okay, man. This is where my list, you know, and in general has changed since the last time I've done it, which was some months ago. I love all these movies, but well, anyways, I'll just get to it. I'm going with Jason Lives at
All right.
number 5. And I do love this movie. When I was a kid, this was actually a movie that I watched a lot because I was at a certain age. But I will say the atmosphere, there's an advantage it has and a disadvantage for me. I love the gothic tone that Tom McLaughlin had with it. You know, it has that type of old school type of, you know, and the music, you know, it's different. But although I can enjoy humor, there were a couple moments where it went a little too far. And as a kid, I dug it, you know. And even as an adult, I still dig it. But when I compare it to the other movies above it, that's where it, you know, brought it down a little bit. So I've got Jason Lives at number 5.
Oh, yeah. All right. If you thought that I lost you guys before, this is where I'm really going to lose you guys. All right. So my number 5, I'm going with part 2. Now, Jenny is my favorite final girl
Preach.
in any franchise. Well, she's tied with one other. Okay. I have 2 number 1s because I can't put her and Ellen Ripley are my 2 favorite final girls out of anything. And it's just part 2. I love it. You know, Baghead Jason was cool. One of my favorite things about part 2 was it still had that Camp Crystal Lake feel, although it was a little further away from Camp Crystal Lake. It still had that feel that the original had. You know, you felt like you were there. And this is the first part of the 3-day Friday the 13th, you know?
Right.
So part 3 is day 2, part 4 is day 3. This is the first of that. I love the wheelchair kill. That's in my top 5 kills, you know, the cleaver to the forehead, and then we're just going to let this guy roll. I'm not even going to, you know, hide him behind a bush or nothing. Guess what? You're rolling down those stairs, and I can only imagine how many takes they needed to make that happen without that thing falling over.
Right.
Because those weren't like 4 stairs that he went down. Like that was a stairwell. Like that was, he went down those stairs. And whenever I think Friday the 13th kills, that kill is always in the mix, you know, with the top of the kills. But yeah, again, this is my number 5. And once I feel like you're in the top 5, you're in the top 5, you know, it's a great movie to me. This did slide 1 spot for me last time I did this with one of my friends at Scarefest. This did slide down 1 for me, and it just comes to me looking at my box and saying, which one do I want to watch today? My number 5 is a part 2.
Nice.
All right, let's go ahead and reverse the wheel again. Number 4, that would be Night.
All right. So for number 4, again, I absolutely love this one. It was one of my favorites growing up as well. I'm going with Friday 2.
Oh.
And you just pretty much said it. Jenny is an absolute angel. Amy Steele, she is on my list. If I ever get to meet her, and I will absolutely melt in her presence.
Yeah.
Because she was just so good in this movie, such a great final girl. The story was great, still had the vibe from the original, pretty much everything you said, Michael. But I love 2. It holds up so well after all this time. It really does. So,
yeah.
Yep.
Matt, what do you have for number 4, sir?
I'm not going to say a whole lot because you guys have, you know, already said it all. For me, number 4 is part 2, But let's not forget one thing about it that makes it so great is it's got the best butt in any Friday the 13th movie.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
That thing is phenomenal. And that could have no Jason in it. It could be about, I don't know, deers, in the field, and I would watch that. Yeah, let's not forget that, guys.
So you're saying that Corey from Halloween Ends could be running around there and you wouldn't care?
I would get the steelbook copy. Absolutely.
That's what I'm talking about. That's my guy right there.
Right.
But yes, 2.
Yes.
That's awesome. So that's our first one, right, fellas? We all hit the we got down to number 4,
That's right.
or was that number 5?
No,
it was number 5
4.
or 4.
4.
Oh no, we weren't the same because we started over. Because I had number 2 before that.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
we were close.
We were close.
Wait, what happened?
I thought that we were all on the same number when we said part 2.
Yeah,
but I had it as number 5 and you guys had it as number 4 because I was the last one to go for number 5. And it was close enough. We all spoke about 2 in a row. I will take it. Now, this movie for my number 4 has started from the bottom, but now we're here. All right. Jason X coming in at number 4 for me.
Wow.
I will throw the X up and I will talk about this movie on why I believe that. This movie has it all. Horrible CGI. I freaking love it. You know what I mean? It is just terrible. This movie is an abomination, and I love every single minute of this abomination. I love Jason X. It has come down my list from the first time I saw it. I was like, man, this is bad. And then it started becoming, it's bad, but this is bad, but hey, that's kind of cool. God, that CGI is so bad, but I love it. You get a little bit of everything in this movie. You get teleports that make no sense. Jason showing up in areas that it's not humanly possible. Frozen Jason cuts an arm off, which is freaking fantastic. You get Jason versus virtual reality when he cuts a monster in half. You ever wonder what would happen if Jason went to fight a monster? Would he be scared? No, he would not be. He's pulling his machete out and he's cutting that thing in half. It doesn't matter if it's a gargoyle or anything. The terrible AI bot that was programmed to be a killer, absolutely terrible with the horrible flips that you can definitely tell she's on a wire. I absolutely love it. Jason getting his leg blown off and his head blown off and then being saved by the nanobots to come back as Uber Jason. He even made the thumbnail. If you saw my thumbnail, you should have knew this was coming. Uber Jason made the cover. All right. Them in space floating around looked ridiculous. The spaceship going through the city looked absolutely horrible. And I laugh and smile.
With you sometime soon, Michael.
What's that?
I just think that would be an absolute trip.
What's that? I didn't hear you. What did you say? I didn't hear what you said.
Can you hear me, buddy?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, he might have been taken out, or his Wi-Fi.
I don't know. Hey, Matt, say something.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What were you saying about Jason X?
I said, can I please watch that with you sometime soon? Because I think that would be an absolute trip.
All about it, dude. And I will sit there and narrate its badness to be epically awesome.
And Michael, one thing I've been wanting to say, Knight, for you as well. I just didn't want to interrupt anybody, but that you kind of spoke on this as far as saying taking out your box set, and it is about a movie you want to watch the most, even if you know, like, this movie sucks. It's got terrible dialogue, but if you enjoy it, man, then that's the movie for you, bro. Like, I just, so yeah, if you enjoy it, and I enjoy Jason X, but and like you said, you can know it's bad, you can know all its flaws, but if it's that one that you want to pick over this one or that one, so be it, man.
And I mean, I'll
So
tell
be
you
it.
one thing, dude. I will tell you one thing, and that's what I was saying on the Halloween stream that we did. You know, there's a difference between something being good and liking something. You know what I mean? I
Absolutely.
think
Yeah.
a lot of times
Absolutely.
people get confused. Like, that was a good movie because I liked it. Jason X is a horrible movie. It is
Mhm.
freaking terrible. But I love every terrible moment of that movie.
Mhm.
And so that's why that will be my number 4.
There's nothing wrong with that, buddy.
Hell
That's
yeah.
right. That's right.
All right. Number 3. This is where we're really getting down to it, guys. Top 3. I couldn't put Jason X in my top 3. I just couldn't, you know, but he's moving down the list for me. He's definitely moving down the list. I think he done found his home at number 4. But all right, top 3. I think it's Matt's turn for top 3. Was that the direction we were going?
I think so.
All right. Matt, sir, number 3.
Part 4.
It's a good one.
I'm going to go with part 4. It's a great film. Well, just like you said, hell for me, you get to our number 7. They're great. They're all great films. We love part 4. Now, well, I won't go there because I'll get into that down the road. But as far as now, guys, who played him in part 4?
That was Ted White.
Okay, Ted White. Well, Ted White did an absolute fantastic job. You've got Corey Feldman in there, you know, as Jarvis, and you know what's not to love about him as Tommy Jarvis. You've got a good cast. You've got a hell of a Jason. He's menacing. You've got Back to the Future doing his classic dance moves that you just
You can't leave out
forget.
Crispin Glover.
Yes.
You can't. But just all around solid film. And what I love is let's not forget the machete slide. Like just Tom Savini at his best, doing his thing. What a gnarly way. You know, the machete slide. I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite Jason moments. But I definitely enjoy part 4, and yeah.
Just to give a shout out to Melissa, who thought that it was important to leave that comment. Melissa,
Yeah.
I love you. I like Jason X too. I'm glad to have somebody on my team here. All right, Knight. We're down to number 3, buddy.
All right, man. It is so difficult at this point, but I absolutely love this movie. This movie actually over the years has risen up almost as much as 5 since I was a kid and first saw it. But I'm gonna go with the first time we see Kane Hodder, and that's The New Blood, Part 7.
That's a good one too.
Man, like Kane, and you guys said it earlier. The look of Jason was so fantastic. The way that he was presented, the stunt work. This is the most stunts that a Jason did, and Kane was up for the task. I love Tina. Lar is amazing in that role. You know, obviously you have Bad News Cruz as the foil. It's a really good Friday 13th. The MPA messed around with it a lot, so you know they nerfed a lot of the kills and stuff like that. But the movie to me is just so good on all the other levels that I look past that. So I had to put this high up on my list. So I've got it at number 3.
Yeah. Actually, I was with Matt down at Scarefest in Lexington, and he could probably tell you how my interaction went with Lar Part Lincoln. So she was there. I got to meet her, and the whole time I'm walking up. Now this will be some entertainment for everyone watching. So I'm walking up like there's no line. You know, it's just me in a straight shot to Lar Part Lincoln. You know, this is my childhood. You know, I love Tina growing up. It's like all these things I want to say, and I get up to her and I just totally nothing. I had nothing. I had a poster in my hand and I just hold it out like, will you sign my poster? You know what I mean? And she goes and sign it. And she's, talking and talking. And so I get up there and I'm just like, will you sign my poster? And she's sitting there signing like, yeah, I like to sign this area right here because I don't sign here because Kane likes this area. I got a poster signed by her, Cruz, Nick, and Kane Hodder while I was down there. And so Matt's having connection issues. So this is a perfect time to tell this story while he reconnects there. And so I get up to her and I'm just like, will you sign my poster? She's talking and everything. And I'm just like, I love your movies. That's all I said. And first of all, that's the only movie I've ever seen her in. To be honest with you, I just went to nothing, and as she signed my poster, I put it back in my little case and I just walked away like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like all this time, and that's what I got out of it. I'm just like, you had nothing,
Nope, you didn't.
And I was lucky enough to meet her again that weekend. And the second time went the same way the first time went. It absolutely went that way. And then I saw her before I left and I waved to her and she was like, it was good to see you. She was so great. She knew,
that's cool.
At the end of the day. And I sat there, I talked to everybody up there, no problem. I talked to Felissa Rose, I talked normal, but for some reason, somewhere in my brain, it was Laura Parr Lincoln.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, I had nothing,
I love it.
And I sit here and tell this story to you guys, and she could be somewhere and I'll be like, you know what? It's going to be great. This time I'm going to say what I want to say. And it's probably going to happen again. Like I have nothing. She could say, hey, Michael, I want to be on Movies and Beyond. And I will sit here like there's no way. I just can't. I
love it.
It's great. But see, that never happens to me. Like I've met a lot of people and I've never had that. So, I mean, the only way I can justify that to myself is to say, okay, man, you really love Friday the 13th, And I mean, it could be Jenny. Like, keep it together. You know what I mean? It's going to be like, we're going to do this all over again. We know how this went with Laura Parr Lincoln. So let's go ahead and try this one. But it's probably going to be the same. She could be 100 years old and I'd still be standing there. A man of 80,
I felt that way with Adrienne King. I met Adrienne King and she was so nice. All the Friday alumni are so great. Kane, Derek, Adrienne King. And man, I got so many hugs from Adrienne King. And I'm trying to be professional about it, but she gives good hugs, man. So I think about the second or third hug, I kind of, tied in a little tighter, and she was so kind. Still such a wonderful, beautiful lady, kind and everything. So yeah, I know what you're saying, bro.
Yeah,
it's just crazy. We just love the movies.
Yeah, and I mean that's great. But I will take a little bit of time to read through some of these comments. Deverick, if I'm saying that right, I hope I'm saying that right. Deverick, I love Sleeping Bag Kill and New Blood. You know what?
Yeah.
That's why that made my intro. That's top 3 for me. And another thing about X, you got it in X too. You know what I mean? You got a double sleeping bag in X. And it's just like, there it is. And you got Uber Jason doing it. Yes, the Sleeping Bag Kill, absolutely fantastic. Welcome back, Matt. It was just freaking great.
Yep.
Melissa says Jason Lives though is number 1 for me. 2 is New Blood. 3 is Final Chapter, then New Blood, then Jason Takes Manhattan, then Jason X. Not a bad list there. James says Jason and the Nanobots, great name for a rock band.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yep.
As this is when Matt was disconnecting. James says, Houston, Matt has a problem.
Yeah.
We're glad to have you back, Matt. And you can thank James for that one a little later on. Excellent, Deverick. Excellent. All right. So, Knight, did you just give us our part 3? Or did you just give us our number 3, I mean?
Yes. I said part 7 was my number 3. Yep.
Yes. Matt, so we are to you, sir. Number 3.
Glad to be back, gentlemen.
Welcome back, sir.
Glad to have you back.
Thank you. I'm on 3?
You are on 3.
think I've messed up my list here, guys.
Or did he? No, he went
Uh-oh.
first, Knight. He
Oh, I'm
did
on
do number
two.
3.
Oh, okay.
So number
I'm on
3,
two.
yeah, number 3 for you was part
Oh.
4, correct? Yes. Okay, so we were starting
Okay.
with Matt, and we were going that direction. So actually, number
I was
3
so
is on me, and that is part 3.
Oh,
For
okay.
number 3.
Jason. So
No, it's on me for this one. So part 3 is my number 3. First time Jason wears the iconic hockey mask.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he gets it from Shelley. It was a very gritty movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it was just really gritty. It was the next day from part 2. It was the following day. Somehow, you know, Jason grew about 8 inches and put on about 150 pounds. But
That's right.
we're gonna overlook that. Richard Brooker was an absolute beast as Jason.
Yes.
I mean, this dude was a freak of nature in the early 80s. You know, he looked like, you know, one of the big guys now walking around.
Mhm.
But he was walking around like that in the early 80s. Richard Brooker was the first Jason that truly scared me as a child. And I will tell you why. The thing that stuck in my head as a kid, and, you know, you guys are no mystery, the people that have hung around on here to know, you know, I watched horror movies way too young. And for some reason, what stuck in my head about part 3 was when Jason was looking through the window when she was in that boat.
Yes.
He was up in the house and he comes and knocks the door off and he's running. That was the first thing in Friday the 13th that truly scared the shit out of me as a kid.
Mhm.
And looking back on it now, that's just a testament to me on how great, you know, that Friday the 13th was. Like it still felt scary and not so much campy. Like that one, it had so many good things in it. You know, I loved Shelley as a character. You know, he'll always be an iconic character, even though he was a one and done.
Mhm.
It was just a great Friday the 13th for me, and those are some of the reasons why I think it was so good, and that's why it's number 3 on my list.
All right.
All right, Matt. Number 2.
Well, there's not much left for me to say because you kind of took it all right there, buddy. Number 2 for me is part 3.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Shelley for a minute. How you were saying how memorable he is, and he was one and done. That just tells you how memorable he was, though. To just be in one film and done. But who doesn't know Shelley?
Right.
We all know Shelley. Great character for Jason, to be the guy Jason gets his mask from. And what I love about part 3 is that one, just the look of Jason is just like you said when he's looking through the window. That is just classic 80s monster right there, man.
Yeah.
And the ending in the barn, him hanging, her opening the barn door, and he's right there, pulling himself up off the rope, and taking the mat is just classic. When he's doing that, I'm like, let's go, let's do it.
But you see the traps on Jason Brooker. You know that rope wasn't breaking his neck.
Right.
That guy was walking with them traps through the whole thing. Like, man, there ain't no rope breaking that neck.
They need a monster like that in the WWE, man. Like, he was a brute. But yeah, when he first gets that mask on, and just like he was a fantastic Jason as well. Not just his build, but how he portrayed Jason. He was phenomenal. I liked how he moved. He was a fantastic Jason. And there's not just Shelley, but there's a lot of memorable characters in there. You got the hippie pot smoker. Just a ton of great characters. I don't think this is a popular opinion. I think a lot of people actually prefer 4 over 3, but not for me, man. I'm going to go with 3. It's not as polished as a movie as 4, but just like we said earlier, if I'm going to watch 4 or 3, I'm picking 3 all day long. I just enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I think that whole in barn scene is one of my absolute favorites in the franchise. It's just fantastic. So yeah,
Definitely.
number 3 for me.
Derek is saying part 3 was my first Friday, and I love Richard Brooker's Jason so much. The handstand split was scary. Do you remember when that guy was walking on his hands through there?
Oh
and he
yeah,
walks
absolutely.
up on a Jason, and he's just like, oh, yeah, that was.
It still looks good.
Yeah, it does.
Let me say this: it's a shame that we never got the chance to see these Friday the 13th films how they were intended. You know, to get that R rating, they absolutely murdered these films.
Oh yeah.
It's something I don't even like to think about it, but if we could have seen these films, you know, how they were intended to be, and that would just be glorious.
Oh, I think that would definitely make my day.
Absolutely.
James is saying, can you imagine Tyler Mane playing Jason? That would rock. That would be freaking crazy. That guy's a brute too.
Yeah, he is.
All right,
Knight. Think about that. All these kills that we think are fantastic are a fraction of what they really intended that kill scene to be.
Oh yeah.
You know? And it's a shame.
Definitely. Number 2.
All right. Well, at number 2, you guys pretty much said pretty much everything I was thinking. I got to go with 3. Again, Richard Brooker. That's growing up, or as a kid, I should say, that was the Jason of my nightmares. You know, you had that nice, crisp and clean hockey mask. Richard, just his physicality was great. The final confrontation with Chris was great in the barn, and you know, he kept coming. You know, he would run, and she's in the van, and she can't get off the bridge, and all that type of stuff. So it has everything you want. Memorable characters.
It does.
You know, the great atmosphere. This is the one I watched probably the most as a kid, cumulatively. I just loved it. So yeah, but that's my number 2 is part 3.
Excellent. We've been really close, guys, to hitting them on the same numbers, but I'm just like one away from hitting your guys. All right, number 2 for me. This was a tough one, but I'm gonna go with part 7. First appearance of Kane Hodder. Definitely, we've already spoken. Best looking Jason ever, in my opinion. When he comes walking out of that water, and his spine and his ribs are out, man, you're just like, you gotta be freaking kidding me.
Right?
And that's when the first time we see, you know, Kane breathing as Jason. You know, like he's really standing there on that freaking close up when Tina comes around that corner and he's standing there before she electrocutes him in the puddle. I mean, freaking fantastic. The way the mask looks from where it got grinded up in part 6 and part of his face is exposed right here. Obviously, my favorite mask. I can't say enough good things about part 7. I love Lar Par Lincoln, obviously. If you heard my story earlier, Matt, I told them the story that you already know about meeting Lar Par Lincoln with me. It just fantastic movie. This bounces around for me. This could be number 1 tomorrow. It could be back to number 2 the day after that. I absolutely love this movie. So my part 2, I'm going with number 7. Nice. All right, we're going to switch it up one last time. We are on number 1, and everybody pretty much has a good idea of what number 1s, what are left, and what our number 1s are. But let's go ahead and go through them. Knight, your number 1, sir, for Friday the 13th franchise.
This has been a consistent number 1 for several rankings for me because it just has all the ingredients that I want in it. And it is a very well-made entry as well, but I'm going with the final chapter, part 4. The characters, the kills. Ted White, who was the oldest actor portraying Jason, and you would never know it by the way he was in that friggin' movie. He was running after Kimberly Beck Trish at the end, and he did not look like he was laboring. You know, I think he was like 56,
55, 56.
Yeah.
Wow.
You would have never known it. You would have never known it. And he just recently passed away. What was it, like 2 months ago?
Yeah, he was like 96.
Yep. The guy is a beast. He's a legend.
Yeah.
And part 4 just has everything I want in it. So that was the one choice that was pretty easy. That's my number 1.
The thing that sticks out about me with Ted White as Jason is the size of that guy's hands. Were like
Yeah.
freaking this big when he was
Mhm.
grabbing people by their face. And I'm just
Yep.
like, gee, look at the balls on that freaking guy. Jesus, man.
Crazy.
Like he basically face palmed that guy
In the
in the
shower.
shower
Yep.
and just like crushed his head up against the
Yep.
side. Freaking fantastic.
Yep.
Knight, how'd you enjoy that machete slide on that on number 4?
Man, it was just crazy. It still looks so amazing, man. I just watched part 4 like less than a month ago.
It's
You know,
gnarly.
I watch it very, very often, and it just looks. I mean, Savini. I mean, it's Tom Savini. You know what I mean? Just so many great things in that movie. It's crazy, man. It's crazy how good that movie is.
Yeah. All right, Matt. Big number 1.
I'm gonna go similar to Knight. It's a fairly easy choice for me as well. I'm gonna go with part 7. I just love it. Jason's look.
Yeah.
Jason on fire, man. Jason finally having somebody fight back and battle him. You know, the mask, he already looks cool. The mask comes off, he looks even cooler. You know, him falling down in the basement and they're going down there. I absolutely love part 7. And it's one of those
Oh no. Oh.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah,
Yep.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, it's got a slow burn to it, and then, which I enjoy, because once it gets going towards the end, it just does not stop rising all the way to the end. But I'm with you as well, Michael. Laura Park Lincoln was a fantastic final girl, and you know that I got to meet her as well at Scarefest. But yeah, his look, the action, the kills, the characters. I've got to go with part 7 for my number 1.
Definitely. And yeah, dude, like there's no right or wrong. And believe me, I definitely see number 7 being up there. Deverick's asking, who's better, Jenny or Chris, Final Girls?
Jenny.
Well, you know I got to go with Jenny, like for me.
Jenny as well for me.
Yeah, definitely.
And I love Chris, but hey, it's Amy Steele, man. So
Croce H. Hop was a truly nasty kill of all. Oh, Jason runs, Michael walks, turn around, he's right there. Freaky. Yeah, they both happen to just jump up and end up being right where you don't need them to be.
right.
The final chapter was the greatest of all and truly the best. Jason kicked major butt. And look, guys, my number 1, it is part 4. We've all talked about this movie, but the one thing that I want to bring up, you guys brought up all the great points with this, you know, Ted White, Crispin Glover. The one thing that really made this stick out, you know, and not that the other things didn't, because they're all a big part of why this is my number 1, being part 4, the final chapter, was I didn't feel like, even though they ended up being, I didn't feel like the characters in this were just Jason fodder. You know, a lot of these movies, you know, you see, okay, there's the group. They're all going to get ground up. You know, it really doesn't matter what they have going on with each other because it's not going to matter. This, you were actually invested in the story. Teddy's computer, come on, man. Like that, the whole dead fuck thing, like the Doublemint twins.
Yep.
You know, there was so much going on with this movie. You had the family atmosphere with Trish and Tommy and the mom, so you got that aspect of it. You understood Gordon the dog. You know, like that was a family over there.
Right.
One thing that always does make me laugh was what was his name? The camper. Rob. Was it Rob?
Rob.
Yes.
Yeah.
When
He's
Rob showed
killing
up.
me.
Yeah, that for one, that made me laugh. You know, when Jason's cutting him in the basement. He's actually screaming, "He's killing me." It's like, no shit. And Trish pissed me off so much. She kept going back down there. Like,
Yes, that was
besides
the one time that
Yeah.
she didn't do the right thing.
like he's yelling, "He's killing me." That
Right.
means run.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Even the dog was like, screw this.
Down and look, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Even the dog jumps out the window. And then Jason comes up and grabs her foot just like with
Yep.
Rob. You know, like, come on, man. I can't scream at my TV anymore. You know, but that's one of the things that makes this so good to me. You know, all the characters in it were great. I think that the kill in the raft was excellent. And I'm sure we all know the backstory with how long that took to film and her getting hyperthermia and Ted White being like, if you don't get her out of the water, I'm walking.
Right.
You know, like there were so many things with this movie that made it so good to me. And that's why at the end of the day, part 4 is my number 1. It was just fantastic. And man, it really, I was really invested in all the characters for the most part, you know, with this movie. Like I felt like the girl that came with them, the one that was really shy, who wanted to sleep in the bunk bed. I was like, well, she's going to make it to the end. And then they end up having sex. And I was like, she's not going to make it to the end. You know what I mean? Like she had Final Girl written all over her at the beginning, you know, but then at the end of the day, it didn't freaking matter because again, the way Friday the 13th is, you know, the rules, you know, you don't go in there and have sex or else it's over for you. You know, that's the thing. But those are my rankings. And yeah, guys, that was definitely, you know, this is always so much fun to do, especially with gentlemen of your caliber and your knowledge sitting here with me. You know, it's one thing to sit here and talk to a group by yourself and be like, my number 12 is this, then my number 11. But when you can bounce these ideas around with friends, it makes this so much more fun. And definitely something that I'd love to do again because, again, these lists aren't going to be, you know, the same for me, especially. I've got my Friday the 13th box in there. Which movie am I going to pull out today? Which movie am I going to pull out tomorrow? And all of a sudden my list in 2 days is like, night, my list just changed. You know, Matt, guess what? This is not my number 4 anymore. It's my number 5. And here's why. It's true. And that's just such the great thing about being a horror fan is, you know, there are endless conversations to be had with all of this stuff.
True. No doubt.
Michael, let me say that I just am so appreciative that you bring me on here, and I'm absolutely down to rank any franchise that you want to dig into. And,
well, we got Nightmare next for sure.
Okay. And Night, again, man, it was a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure meeting you too, man.
Discuss the Friday the 13th with you, my friend. So
absolutely, this was a blast, man. It's always, you know, Michael, you said it as well as I could have said it. You know, it's so fun when you talk about something that you enjoy, and to be able to do that with friends and kind of having a discussion and a back and forth and the oohs and ahs, and you know, it just makes it a blast, man. It's seriously one of the most fun things to do is having the conversations with others, you know.
I will tell you what, there are probably not a lot of other people up there that are putting Jason X as their number 4. And I will stand tall with that, my friends. Like, I will always stand tall with that.
I was glad to hear you do it, man. I was like, I love it. Because hearing your passion for it, you know, is just, again, it's almost like, even though this is territory that we know very well, to hear a different point of view like that, it sheds a different light on it. You know what I mean? It makes me think more about it. Although I do love Jason X, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, I'm glad that you do put it at your number 4. Yeah.
Yeah, Michael, honestly, yeah. I gotta chime in on that. Like, yeah, here
you love that film.
I do.
Like, yeah, makes me want to watch it with you, like right now. Like, it's awesome.
Freaking awesome, dude. Watch party. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, we'll definitely do that soon. So everybody's still hanging out with us. You know, this is a blast. I love how interactive you guys are in the comment section. You know, I didn't get a chance to go through all of them, but you guys made a lot of good points, and I love that you guys are hanging out with us tonight. You guys are welcome here anytime. James, you are keeping it totally active in there, man, and I always love hearing your point of view on everything. Derek, definitely great to meet you and have you come by with us. Katie, as always, thank you. Thank you for modding for me. Definitely hanging out with us. I want to do Friday next, and then when we rank all three of them night, I would love if you would come back and join us. It will be a little longer of a show if you're able to make it. But I think that this will be a blast to see where we end up. Maybe a little longer of a list, and we may have to, cut down a little bit on the dialogue, but I am definitely looking forward to that, as well as rewatching Nightmare on Elm Street. So I will definitely do that before I watch this, because the back half I'm a little rusty on, probably from 4, 5, and 6, I believe, that I'd have to catch up with. But again, guys, I can't thank you enough for stopping by and hanging out with me tonight on a Sunday night and talking about my favorite franchise, which I always love to do. But I'm going to go ahead and end the show on that. 2 solid hours of the show, you guys. Again, thank you everyone for coming. And please hit that like button. Leave a comment afterwards. That helps out the channel. If you haven't subscribed already, we will be bringing you more discussions like this with a whole lot of other stuff I have coming down the road. If you guys want to just hang out for just a minute, and I'll talk to you guys backstage before we get out of here. Everybody, I want to thank you again for coming by. Peace.
Peace.